The night burned with fear and fire. My back hit the cold wall as Adrian's shadow closed in, his eyes sharp as steel, his breath hot against my lips. I should have run. I should have screamed. But instead my body trembled with something darker. His hand caught my chin, forcing me to look at him, and in that moment I knew. This man was danger, but he was also the only thing I couldn't resist. If you want more nights filled with forbidden kisses, dangerous love, and hearts set on fire, don't forget to subscribe to Cherryboyhearts BL. Stay close, pretty one, because the story is only getting hotter. The night was quiet when I left the little bookstore. I liked walking home late, when the streets were empty, and the world felt like it belonged only to me. My bag was heavy with books, the kind I bought even when I didn't have enough money for food. I told myself I only needed stories to live. But that night my story changed. I took the wrong turn. I didn't even notice it at first. The street was narrow, wet from the rain that had fallen earlier. The smell of smoke and damp trash filled the air. I thought I could cut across to get home faster. Then I heard it. A sound. A sharp crack like fireworks. My steps froze. My breath caught in my throat. It was a gunshot. I should have turned back. I should have run. But I didn't. My stupid legs moved forward, slow, trembling, until I reached the alley. That was when I saw them. Men in dark suits stood in a circle. Their faces were hard, cold. In the center, another man knelt on the ground, his mouth bloody. He begged, but his words broke in the air. I didn't have time to think before one of them raised a gun and fired. The man fell. Just like that, life gone. My heart slammed so hard against my ribs, I thought they would break. I gasped. Too loud. Too foolish. Their heads snapped toward me. Fear burned up my throat. My bag slipped from my hand and hit the ground. My body wanted to run, but my legs would not move. Someone's here, one of them shouted. I tried to step back, but my heel hit the wall. My breath rushed out, sharp and panicked. That was when I saw him. He was different from the rest. He didn't shout, didn't rush. He only stepped forward, calm, like the night itself had bowed to him. His suit was black, cut sharp. His eyes, God, his eyes, pierced me even from far away. Cold steel, but something else too. Something dangerous that made my stomach twist. The men moved to grab me, but he lifted his hand. Just one small move and they stopped, like dogs waiting for a master's order. Bring him to me, he said. His voice was low, smooth, but it carried through the alley like thunder. They dragged me forward. I fought, twisting, but their hands were too strong. My chest heaved. I thought, this is it. They'll kill me. I'll die here. But when they pushed me in front of him, he didn't raise a gun. He only looked at me. That look made my knees weak. It wasn't just cold. It was sharp, cutting into me, peeling away every wall I had. He saw me. My wide eyes. My fear. My face that people always called pretty, even when I hated it. He reached out, slow. His fingers brushed my chin, tilting my head up. My skin burned where he touched me. Pretty boy, he said, soft but mocking. What were you doing in my alley? My mouth opened, but no words came out. My tongue felt heavy, my throat dry. I wanted to scream, but all I did was shiver. One of his men spoke. Boss, we should take care of him. He saw too much. The man in front of me, Adrian, I later learned, smiled faintly. A cruel smile. No, he said. His thumb lingered against my jaw, warm and firm. He's mine now. The men looked confused. I was confused too. Mine? What did that mean? Fear rushed through me again. But something else stirred deep in my chest. Pull I didn't understand. His gaze held me, trapped me, and even as I trembled, I couldn't look away. They forced me into a car, a sleek black machine waiting at the end of the alley. My heart wouldn't slow. My hands shook in my lap. He slid in beside me, the air thick with his scent. Cologne, smoke, and danger. The door shut, and the car hummed forward. The silence pressed heavy. I dared a glance at him. His face was sharp, perfect, like something carved from stone. He caught me staring. My breath hitched. Slowly, he reached out again. His gloved finger tilted my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. His smirk deepened. "Pretty boys," he murmured, his voice brushing against me like a touch. "Shouldn't wander at night." My chest tightened. My body shook. I didn't know if it was fear that made me shiver, or something else. The ride to his mansion had been silent, except for the hum of the car and the pounding of my heart. I pressed my hands together so tightly, I thought my knuckles would crack. Every time I glanced at him, Adrian, his eyes caught mine like sharp hooks. I looked away fast, but the weight of his stare stayed on me. When the gates opened, I forgot to breathe. The mansion rose out of the darkness like a castle. Tall walls, bright lights, guards everywhere. The car rolled across smooth stone, and I realized there was no escape. This place was a golden cage, beautiful but meant to keep me in. 2 men opened the car doors. I stumbled out, legs weak, and they led me inside. The air smelled of polish, wine, and smoke. Chandeliers sparkled above me. The marble floor gleamed like ice. I should have been amazed, but fear pressed heavy on my chest. He walked in behind me, calm, slow, like a king returning home. Everyone bowed their heads when he passed. Not one dared to meet his eyes, except me. My eyes kept stealing toward him, even when I knew I shouldn't. He caught me staring. Again. A faint smirk touched his lips, as if he enjoyed it. "Like what you see, pretty boy?" His voice was smooth, deep, and it slid under my skin. Heat rushed up my face. I shook my head quickly. Words stuck in my throat. He chuckled low, but said nothing more. They led me to a room, huge, with tall windows and soft curtains. The bed looked like it belonged in a dream, covered in silk. Too much for someone like me. I hugged myself, feeling small. When the guards left, he stayed. He didn't sit. He circled me instead, slow, like a wolf watching its prey. My skin prickled. Every step he took made me shiver. "Do you know who I am?" he asked, his voice calm but sharp. I swallowed. A boss." My voice cracked. His smirk widened. "Not just a boss. The boss." He stopped behind me. I could feel his breath near my neck. My knees almost gave out. My heart hammered. I didn't know if I wanted to run or fall to the floor. He brushed his fingers against my hair, just lightly, as if testing. My breath hitched. My whole body tensed, waiting for what he would do next. "You should be afraid," he whispered, his words brushing my ear. Afraid of me. I was afraid, terrified. But there was something else too. A heat that spread in my chest. A pull that made no sense. Why did his touch make me tremble like this? He moved to stand in front of me. His eyes locked on mine. I tried to look away, but couldn't. His stare pinned me in place like chains. "You're shaking," he said softly. "Good. That means you understand." I nodded, but I didn't know what I was agreeing to. Then, like a flash, his tone turned sharp. He called for Marco, one of his men, who walked in. Adrian's voice turned cold, colder than ice, when he spoke to him about business. Orders. Death. I couldn't believe how different he sounded. Like a monster. But when his eyes returned to me, his tone softened again. Still dangerous, but different. Protective almost. I didn't understand. Marco gave me a strange look, as if wondering why I was still alive. Then he left, leaving me alone with Adrian once more. Adrian stepped closer. He leaned down just enough for his breath to brush my cheek. My chest heaved, and I stepped back, only for him to follow, step by step until my back hit the wall. His hand lifted again, fingers brushing a strand of hair from my face. His touch was slow, teasing, and my heart nearly broke out of my ribs. "Pretty boy," he said again, like it was my name. "Do you know what happens to people who see things they shouldn't?" I swallowed hard. They die. He smiled faintly. Smart. And yet, here you are. I didn't know why. I didn't know what game he was playing. All I knew was that I was trapped in his cage, and his eyes promised both danger and something else I couldn't name. The evening dragged on, heavy with silence. I sat on the edge of the huge bed, staring at the golden patterns on the wall. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. My mind raced in circles. Why me? Why had he kept me alive when everyone else who saw too much was killed? When the door opened again, I almost leapt. Adrian walked in, his presence filling the room. He didn't knock, didn't ask. He just entered like he owned not only the room but me too. "Come," he said, his voice low. "Dinner." I hesitated, but his gaze left no space for refusal. My legs carried me after him, shaky but obedient. The dining hall looked like a scene from a storybook. Long table, shining glasses, silver that gleamed under golden light. But the air was heavy, sharp, full of unspoken rules. Guards stood against the walls like shadows. Adrian took the head seat. He gestured to the chair beside him, not across, but close. My chest tightened. Everyone's eyes burned into me as I slowly sat down. I felt like prey displayed in front of hunters. Food was brought out, dishes I had never even seen before. But I couldn't eat. My stomach was too tight. Adrian, on the other hand, was calm, cutting into his steak with steady hands. He didn't look at me at first, but I felt his presence beside me like heat from fire. Too close, too strong. When one of his men dropped a glass by mistake, the sound shattered through the room. My shoulders jerked in fear. The man stammered, pale, bowing his head. Adrian's hand stilled. His knife clicked against the plate. His eyes turned sharp, deadly. The man begged, but Adrian only snapped his fingers. 2 guards dragged him out. His scream cut off quickly. My blood turned cold. Couldn't breathe. Then Adrian's hand brushed mine under the table. Just the faintest touch, steadying, claiming. I froze. My heart pounded so loud I thought the whole table could hear it. "Eat," he said simply, as if nothing had happened. His tone with me was calm again, gentle even. The difference made my head spin. Cruelty for them, softness for me. Why? I forced myself to lift the fork, my hand trembling. I tasted nothing. The only thing I felt was his presence beside me. His eyes sliding toward me every few minutes, burning holes through my skin. Halfway through the meal, he leaned back in his chair, watching me more openly now. His lips curved, not in kindness, but in that knowing smirk that made my chest tight. "Do you always tremble like a rabbit?" he asked softly, just for me to hear. Heat rushed to my face. "I'm not," I tried to say, but the words caught in my throat. He chuckled low. "No need to lie. I can feel it." His hand brushed against mine again, this time deliberate, sliding slow enough to make my breath falter. I jerked my hand back. His smirk deepened, as if my fear was a game he enjoyed. When dessert came, I couldn't take more. My chest felt hot and tight. My mind shouted at me to stay away, but my body leaned forward with every word he spoke, every brush of his fingers. The hall grew quieter as the others finished. The air between us grew heavier. He shifted closer, his chair scraping slightly. I froze as his shoulder touched mine. Then he leaned down, his face close, his breath warm against my ear. My whole body went rigid. "I don't keep pets for long," he whispered, his voice like velvet and steel all at once. "Unless they beg to stay." His breath slid down my neck, hot, dangerous. A shiver tore through me, and I hated how part of me wanted more. I couldn't tell if it was fear, or something darker that made me tremble. The night was too quiet. I sat in the grand room Adrian had locked me in, staring at the tall windows. The air pressed heavy, and even the walls seemed to listen. Something in me whispered that trouble was coming. Then it started. Gunfire cracked through the night, sharp and endless. My whole body jumped. The sound wasn't far, it was in the mansion. Shouts followed, deep voices, boots running across marble floors. My chest tightened so hard, I could barely breathe. I rushed to the door and pressed my ear against it. More shots, more screams. My stomach twisted. I knew I shouldn't open it, but fear made me move. I cracked the door, just an inch. The hallway outside was chaos. Men in dark masks fired at Adrian's guards. Blood splattered the white walls. I gasped and quickly slammed the door shut, my back hitting the wood. Tears stung my eyes. I pressed a hand over my mouth to stop the sound. My knees shook so badly I dropped to the floor. The gunfire didn't stop. It grew closer, louder. My heart pounded so fast it hurt. I thought, they're coming for me. I'll die here. I stumbled to the corner, curling against the wall. My fingers dug into the carpet. All I could do was wait. Wait and pray. Minutes felt like hours. Then, footsteps. Heavy, steady footsteps coming closer to the room. My breath caught. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. The door opened, and there he was, Adrian. But not the perfect, untouchable man I had seen before. His black shirt was torn, his chest wet with blood. His face was sharp with anger, but his steps faltered. Adrian? I whispered before I could stop myself. My voice broke. His eyes snapped to me. Even hurt, his gaze was strong enough to pin me where I sat. He closed the door behind him, leaning against it for a moment, his breath heavy. I pushed myself up, rushing toward him. Fear mixed with something hotter, stronger. Seeing him bleed made my chest twist in ways I didn't understand. "You're hurt?" I said, my hands shaking as I reached toward his chest. He caught my wrist, his grip firm even now. "Stay back, Kai." His voice was low, rough. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. My fear of him was still there, but something bigger pushed me forward. "You'll die if I don't help." For a moment he just looked at me. His eyes searched mine, and something flickered there. Confusion, maybe. Then, slowly, he let my wrist go. I pulled him toward the bed. He let me even though I was smaller, weaker. He sat down and I knelt in front of him. My fingers trembled as I touched his shirt, pulling it open. The sight made me gasp. Blood spread across his chest, dark and wet. A bullet had grazed his side. The wound was deep but not deadly. Still, seeing him like this broke something inside me. I grabbed the cloth from the table, pressing it against the wound. He hissed, his body jerking under my touch. "Sorry?" I whispered quickly, my eyes wide. His lips curved faintly, even in pain. "Pretty boy, I've had worse." But his eyes stayed on me as I worked. And the longer I stayed close, the heavier the air became. My breath grew short. My face heated. His scent surrounded me. Smoke, steel, and something that made my chest ache. I felt his gaze burn into me, sharp and hot, while my hands pressed against his skin. His skin was warm under my fingers, muscles tight. My heart wouldn't stop racing. Outside, the gunfire still echoed, but inside this room, it was only us. The world shrank until nothing else mattered. My hands would not stop shaking as I pressed the cloth against his side. His blood was warm, soaking into my fingers. My chest rose and fell too fast, each breath tight and uneven. "You're bleeding too much," I whispered, my voice breaking. His eyes never left me, sharp, dark, and deep. "And yet you care." His lips curved faintly, but it wasn't a smile, more like a secret he enjoyed keeping. I swallowed hard, trying to look at the wound, not him. But it was impossible. His bare skin was right in front of me, strong, firm, hot under my hands. Every time my fingers brushed him, sparks shot up my arms. I pressed harder to stop the bleeding. He hissed, his muscles jumping. "Sorry," I said again, my head dropping. My hair fell across my face, hiding me. Then his hand moved. Slow, steady. His fingers slipped under my chin, lifting my face up. My breath hitched. I froze. Our eyes locked. His gaze held me, trapped me. His thumb brushed my jaw, smearing a line of blood across my skin. I should have pulled back. I should have been afraid. But all I felt was heat. A fire rising inside me that fear could not put out. "You're trembling again," he whispered. His voice was low, rough, like it came from somewhere deep in his chest. I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. My body shook with fear, with want, with something I didn't understand. He leaned closer. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard. It hurt. His breath touched my lips before his mouth did. Then he kissed me. It was not gentle. It was rough, desperate, like he wanted to claim me with one touch. His hand gripped the back of my neck, pulling me closer. His lips pressed hard against mine, and my body lit up like fire. I gasped into his mouth, my hands still pressed against his wound. But instead of pushing him away, I leaned in. My shock melted into something hotter, heavier. Fear turned into need. His lips tasted of iron and smoke, but I wanted more. My chest burned, my legs weak. I let myself fall against him, my body pressed to his. He growled softly, deep in his throat as if pleased. His kiss grew rougher, harder, taking more from me with every second. When he finally pulled back, my lips were swollen, my breath ragged. My whole body shook, not from fear this time, but from something I could not name. He leaned close, his forehead against mine. His breath was hot on my lips when he whispered, raw and low, "You belong to me now, Kai." My lips still burned from his kiss. My chest thundered with confusion and desire. And even with the gunfire still raging outside, all I could think of was him. The days passed like hours, but I never felt free. Adrian kept me close, always in his shadow. I told myself I hated him, that I was only waiting for a chance to escape. But when his eyes found me, when his hand brushed mine, my chest betrayed me. One evening, he told me to come with him. His tone left no room for no. The car ride was silent like always. The city lights slid past, bright against the night. I pressed my hands together, staring out the window, but I could feel his gaze on me, heavy, constant. We stopped in a part of the city I had never seen. Old warehouses lined the streets, dark and empty. The air smelled of oil and smoke. Guards opened the doors, guiding us inside. The warehouse was huge, cold, the floor covered in shadows. Men waited there. Some wore suits, some carried guns. The moment Adrian stepped inside, silence fell. All eyes turned to him, their fear sharp enough to touch. I stayed behind him, half hidden, but I saw everything. A man was dragged forward, thrown to his knees. He begged in another language, voice breaking. Adrian listened, calm, hands in his pockets. His eyes were cold, colder than I had ever seen. Then he pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed like thunder. The man fell, lifeless. My heart lurched into my throat. I stumbled back, my chest heaving. He killed him. Just like that. No hesitation. No mercy. I pressed a hand over my mouth, trying not to scream. My legs shook weak under me. Adrian turned, his gaze finding me through the dark. For one long second, I thought he would see my fear and laugh. But his eyes softened only for me. He came closer, his hand brushing my arm. "It's over," he said softly, though his voice still carried steel. "You're safe." Safe. Was that what this was? My heart didn't believe it. My eyes burned. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. Not in front of all those men. When we stepped outside, rain poured from the sky, heavy and cold. I shivered instantly, the thin shirt clinging to me. My hair stuck to my face. My tears mixed with the raindrops, hidden but still there. Adrian watched me for a moment. Then, without a word, he pulled off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The fabric was warm, carrying his scent, smoke, spice, danger. My chest squeezed tight. He killed without blinking, yet he covered me with care. I didn't understand. I didn't know how to hate him when he looked at me like this. His hand brushed my cheek, pushing wet strands of hair away. His thumb lingered warm against my skin. "Don't cry," he whispered, almost too soft for me to hear. I bit my lip, trying to hold it in, but the tears came anyway. Not loud, not messy, just quiet drops slipping down my face. He sighed, low, almost tired, and pulled me against him. My cheek pressed to his chest. I could feel the steady beat of his heart through the damp fabric. In that moment, I saw him differently. Not just a monster, not just a boss, but a man. Lonely, chained to violence, his life built on blood. My heart ached for him in ways I didn't want to admit. The ride back to the mansion felt endless. I sat wrapped in his jacket, the warmth soaking into me, my chest still tight from everything I'd seen. I wanted to push him away, to scream at him for what he did in that warehouse. But when I glanced at him, I couldn't. His eyes were closed, his head resting against the seat, as if even he was tired of the world he ruled. When we reached the mansion, he didn't let anyone else touch me. He walked me inside himself, his hand resting lightly at the small of my back. Not pushing, not forcing, just there, guiding. He led me to his room this time, not mine. The door shut behind us with a soft click. The room was warm, lit only by a low lamp that painted everything in gold. I stood awkwardly near the bed, my heart racing. The silence stretched, heavy but not cruel. He removed his damp shirt, tossing it aside. My breath caught at the sight of his bare chest, muscles shifting under his skin. He noticed my stare. His lips curved faintly, but his eyes stayed unreadable. "Scared?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Yes." His smirk faded. He stepped closer, slow and steady, until I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. His hand rose, brushing my cheek, then sliding into my hair. His touch was careful, almost gentle. "Good," he whispered. "Fear keeps you alive." But the way he said it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like he was warning me, protecting me, even as his world burned with blood. I should have stepped away. Instead, I leaned into his touch. My body betrayed me again. My heart ached, not just with fear, but with something warmer, something I didn't want to admit. He sighed, low and tired. "You confuse me, Kai." My lips parted, but no words came. His thumb brushed against my lower lip, soft, teasing. My breath hitched. Then he leaned in, his mouth meeting mine. This kiss was not like the first. It wasn't rough or desperate. It was slow, careful, as if he was afraid I would break. His lips moved against mine with a heat that built steadily, burning deeper with each second. I melted into him, my hands clutching his arms. My chest burned, my stomach knotted. Every part of me screamed that this was wrong, but I couldn't stop. I didn't want to. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. His breath was warm on my lips. His voice was low, raw, almost human. "No one has ever touched me like this," he whispered. I blinked, stunned. He was the mafia boss, feared by all. Yet his words sounded almost lonely. He kissed me again, deeper this time. His hand slid down my back, pulling me closer until I was pressed against him. Heat surged between us, stronger than fear, stronger than sense. The night stretched on, filled with touches, with whispered words I had never thought he could say. He told me pieces of himself, little truths no one else had heard, about the weight he carried, about the blood on his hands. And still, his arms wrapped around me like I was something worth holding. When we finally lay tangled together in the dark, his hand resting on my chest, I thought he was asleep. But then I heard his voice, low and sharp against the quiet. "If anything happens to you," he murmured, his lips brushing my hair, "I'll burn the world." My chest tightened, my heart thundering so hard it hurt. I didn't know if it was a promise meant to protect me, or a curse that would destroy us both. I just knew I couldn't pull away anymore. It happened so fast. One moment, I was walking in the mansion's garden, the night air soft against my skin. The next, hands grabbed me, rough and merciless. A cloth pressed over my mouth. I kicked, I fought, but my strength was nothing compared to theirs. Darkness swallowed me. When I woke, I was tied to a chair in a place that smelled of rust and blood. My wrists ached from the ropes. My throat burned from the gag they had pulled away only minutes ago. Around me stood men with masks, their eyes hard and hateful. One leaned close, his breath sour. "Your boss will come for you," he sneered. "And when he does, he'll bleed." My chest tightened. Fear stabbed through me. But under that fear, something else rose. Something I had never wanted to admit. I didn't want freedom. Not really. The thought of Adrian not coming, of him letting me die here, made my stomach twist with pain. I realized the truth in that moment. I wanted him, not because he saved me, not because I was afraid, but because somewhere in his darkness, he had chosen me. And I had chosen him. My heart pounded with every passing minute. Gunfire in the distance made the walls shake. Shouts filled the air. The rival mafia men stiffened, their weapons ready. Then the doors burst open. He came in like a storm. Adrian. His eyes burned like fire, his suit soaked in blood, his gun steady in his hand. He moved like death itself, cutting through the room with bullets and fury. Men screamed, fell, and did not rise again. Couldn't breathe. My fear should have broken me, but instead, my chest swelled with relief. He had come. For me. Adrian, I cried, my voice raw. His gaze found me through the chaos. For a moment, time froze. Then he shot the last man standing, his face a mask of rage. The room went silent, except for my pounding heart. He dropped the gun, crossing the floor in long strides. His hands were covered in blood when they reached for me, but I didn't flinch. I leaned into him as he cut the ropes, my whole body trembling. "You're safe," he growled, his voice low and rough, like it hurt him to speak. "I've got you," and I believed him. The ropes fell away, and I collapsed into his arms. My body shook so hard I could barely breathe. His shirt was torn, stained red, but his grip on me was strong, unyielding. I buried my face against his chest. The smell of smoke, iron, and him filled my lungs. I should have been sick from the blood, but instead I clung tighter. "You came," I whispered, my voice breaking. His hand pressed to the back of my head, holding me like he never wanted to let go. His lips brushed my hair, his words rough and raw. "Of course I came. No one touches what's mine." His tone was sharp, possessive, but there was something underneath, something fragile, almost desperate. I pulled back just enough to see his face. His eyes were dark, wild, but when they landed on me, they softened. That softness broke me. "I thought I wanted to be free," I said, my voice trembling. "But I don't. Not anymore. I don't want to leave you, Adrian. Even if it means danger. Even if it means blood." His jaw tightened, as if my words cut deep. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing away the tear that slid down. "Don't say things you don't mean," he whispered. "I mean it," I breathed. "I want you. Not because I'm afraid, but because I love you." The words hung heavy in the air, too big, too raw. For a moment, I thought he would laugh or push me away, but instead his face broke. Just slightly, just enough for me to see the man behind the monster. His hand slid down to my neck, pulling me closer. His lips crashed against mine. This kiss was different from all the others. It was hard, fierce, desperate, but also filled with something I had never felt from him before. Need, not just to claim, but to be held, to be loved. I kissed him back, pouring everything into it. My fear, my relief, my love. His blood smeared against my skin, but I didn't care. All I cared about was him. When he finally pulled back, both of us gasping for air, his forehead pressed to mine. His voice was hoarse, his words almost a growl. "My pretty boy." His lips brushed mine again. "Mine forever." My chest thundered so loud it drowned out everything else. And in that moment I knew the truth. I didn't want freedom anymore. I didn't want a world without him. I only wanted him. Always him. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to listen to more next time, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Cherryboyhearts. Hit the bell so you never miss the next episode of love, passion, and heart-stealing moments.